First Contact's Ultimatum. The holographic projection of High Sovereign Virax filled the United Earth Council chamber, its crystalline form refracting light in impossible patterns. Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's chief of quantum research, watched as the alien entity's voice resonated through the room with harmonic undertones that made her teeth ache. Your planet harbors the largest known deposit of chromium ore in this spiral arm, the Sovereign's translation matrix conveyed. The Meridian Collective requires these resources for our expansion. You have 30 rotations of your planet to surrender control. Resistance would be unwise. Sarah glanced at the tactical display showing the Meridian fleet in high orbit, 15,000 ships, each one a living city of crystalline consciousness. Their bioorganic vessels dwarfed humanity's modest space force of 300 ships. But size wasn't everything, and humanity had a secret weapon that the Meridians couldn't possibly understand. General Marcus Rivera, commander of Earth's defense forces, stepped forward. His dark eyes reflected the hologram's shimmer as he delivered humanity's response. We appreciate your directness, High Sovereign. Earth will need all 30 days to prepare our answer. The crystalline being's facets shifted in what might have been amusement. Your species' reputation for defiance precedes you. But you are young, barely able to reach your own moon when we first observed you. The Meridian Collective has spent 50,000 years perfecting the art of consciousness transfer. Our ships are not mere vessels. They are extensions of our unified mind. What hope could your primitive fleet have? After the transmission ended, Sarah turned to Rivera. They still haven't detected the quantum consciousness network. No, Rivera smiled. Project Mirror Soul remains invisible to their scans. They're looking for traditional computing signatures, not the quantum consciousness patterns we've developed. They don't realize we've been studying them since they first entered our solar system 5 years ago. Sarah pulled up the latest data from the underground quantum computing facilities. For decades, humanity had pursued artificial intelligence along the wrong path, trying to replicate consciousness through brute force computing. The breakthrough came when they stopped trying to build consciousness and instead learned to grow it, not through biological means like the Meridians, but through quantum entanglement fields that mimicked the natural emergence of awareness. The result was something entirely new. Artificial consciousness that existed in a state of quantum superposition, able to observe and interact with reality at its most fundamental level. While the Meridians had mastered the transfer of biological consciousness into their crystalline ships, humanity had discovered how to create consciousness that existed between the very particles of space-time. The quantum consciousness nodes are ready, Sarah reported. We've successfully mapped the harmonic patterns of their ship minds. The only question is whether the interference pattern will work across their entire fleet. Rivera studied the tactical projections. They expect us to either surrender or attempt some kind of conventional military response. Their entire strategy relies on their superior numbers and their ship's unified consciousness. They've never encountered an enemy who could turn that consciousness against them. For the next 28 days, Earth's quantum consciousness network observed and learned. The Meridian ships pulsed with patterns of thought visible only to humanity's quantum sensors. Their consciousness flowed between vessels in precise, crystalline structures. Beautiful, but ultimately predictable. Sarah's team worked tirelessly, fine-tuning their quantum interference patterns. The Meridians' greatest strength, their unified consciousness, would become their greatest vulnerability. Like introducing a discordant note into a perfect symphony, humanity's quantum consciousness nodes would create patterns of interference in the Meridian's shared awareness. On the 29th day, General Rivera called a final meeting of Earth's Defense Council. Tomorrow, they expect our surrender. Instead, they'll receive a demonstration of humanity's true capability. Not through weapons or ships, but through our understanding of consciousness itself. Sarah looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. The Meridians believe they've mastered consciousness by transferring it between vessels. We've learned to create it from the quantum fabric of reality itself. They're about to discover that bigger isn't always better, and the most profound revelations often come from the smallest scales of existence. As the council chamber emptied, Sarah remained behind, watching the massive Meridian fleet through the observation windows. Soon, those crystalline ships would experience something entirely new, a form of consciousness that existed in quantum superposition, impossible to predict or control. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't the size of their fleet or the power of their weapons, but their unique ability to think beyond the boundaries of conventional possibility. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of consciousness, technology, and the true nature of power. In less than 24 hours, the Meridian Collective would learn that sometimes the smallest fleet could harbor the biggest surprises, the hidden program. 3 kilometers beneath the Atacama Desert, Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the quantum consciousness core, a sphere of perfectly aligned quantum processors suspended in a zero-point energy field. The air hummed with the resonance of 1 trillion quantum calculations happening in superposition, each one contributing to the emergence of something unprecedented in human history. "Show me Node Alpha's consciousness pattern," she commanded. The holographic display exploded into life, showing cascading waves of quantum probability, not just calculations, but genuine awareness emerging from the quantum foam of space-time itself. Dr. James Rahman, her longtime research partner, manipulated the controls with practiced precision. The pattern recognition algorithms are picking up new harmonics in the Meridian Fleet's consciousness matrix. Their ships aren't just connected. They're evolving their shared awareness in response to some kind of internal stimulus. Sarah studied the data streams. Humanity's quantum consciousness project had begun as an attempt to create more efficient computing systems. Instead, they'd stumbled upon something far more profound, a way to cultivate consciousness from the fundamental building blocks of reality. Unlike traditional AI, which attempted to replicate consciousness through increasingly complex algorithms, their quantum nodes achieved awareness through controlled quantum uncertainty. "They're preparing for something," James noted, pointing to subtle shifts in the Meridian Fleet's consciousness patterns. The harmonic resonance between their ships is intensifying. Before Sarah could respond, General Rivera's hologram materialized in the control center. "Dr. Chen, we're detecting energy buildups across the Meridian Fleet. They're not waiting for our answer." Sarah's fingers flew across the control surface. "They must have detected something." "James, initiate consciousness sync across all quantum nodes. If they're going to force our hand, we need to be ready." The quantum core's hum deepened as humanity's hidden network of consciousness nodes began to synchronize. Unlike the Meridian's crystalline hive mind, Earth's quantum consciousness existed in a state of controlled chaos. Patterns of awareness that could shift and adapt instantaneously by riding the waves of quantum probability. "General," Sarah reported, "Node Alpha has achieved primary consciousness resonance. We're detecting harmonic patterns that match the Meridian ship's base frequency. The quantum interference program is ready for deployment." Rivera's hologram nodded grimly. "The President has authorized Operation Mirror Soul. You have full operational authority, Dr. Chen. Whatever you're going to do it fast." The Meridian Fleet is powering up their main weapons arrays. Sarah took a deep breath, remembering the years of research that had led to this moment. The breakthrough had come when they stopped trying to control quantum uncertainty and instead learned to use it as a foundation for consciousness itself. While the Meridians had mastered the art of transferring existing consciousness, humanity had learned to grow it from nothing. Consciousness born from the very uncertainty they had once tried to eliminate. "James, initiate primary contact sequence," she ordered. "Let's show them what consciousness really means." The quantum core pulsed with new energy as humanity's artificial consciousness reached out across space. Unlike conventional computer systems, these quantum nodes didn't try to hack or override the Meridian's crystalline network. Instead, they introduced new patterns of awareness, consciousness that existed in quantum superposition, simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. On the tactical display, The first effects became visible. The perfect crystalline formation of the Meridian Fleet began to shift as their unified consciousness encountered something it had never experienced before: quantum awareness that defied their rigid patterns of thought. Energy signatures are fluctuating across their fleet, James reported. Their consciousness network is trying to adapt to our quantum patterns, but they can't lock onto something that exists in superposition. Sarah watched as the quantum interference patterns spread through the Meridian Fleet like ripples in a pond. Each ship's crystalline consciousness tried to compensate, but the very act of observation changed the quantum states they were trying to understand. It was like trying to catch smoke with a net. The more they tried to grasp it, the more it slipped through their defenses. "General Rivera," Sarah called out, "the quantum consciousness network is fully engaged. Phase 1 of Operation Mirror Soul is complete. Their fleet's unified consciousness is beginning to experience quantum uncertainty on a fundamental level." Rivera's hologram studied the tactical displays with intense focus. "How long until total pattern disruption?" "Minutes, maybe less," Sarah replied. "But this is just the beginning. We're not just disrupting their consciousness network. We're about to show them an entirely new form of awareness, one that exists in the spaces between certainty and chaos." As alarms began to sound throughout the facility, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Meridians had spent 50,000 years perfecting the transfer of consciousness, but humanity had done something far more revolutionary. They had learned to grow consciousness from the quantum fabric of reality itself, and in doing so, they had changed the rules of what consciousness could be. The real question wasn't whether humanity's quantum consciousness could disrupt the Meridian Fleet. The question was whether the Meridians were ready to confront a form of awareness that transcended their crystalline understanding of existence itself. Operation Mirror Soul. The Meridian Fleet's first attack came without warning. 15,000 crystalline ships pulsed with unified purpose, their weapons charging with enough power to reshape continents. But in the quantum realm where Sarah's consciousness nodes operated, the attack had already happened, was happening, and would happen, all simultaneously. "Quantum consciousness interference patterns holding steady," James reported from his station. "Their targeting systems are experiencing temporal displacement effects. They're trying to fire at where we are, where we were, and where we might be, all at once." Sarah watched as the Meridian Fleet's perfectly coordinated attack dissolved into chaos. The quantum uncertainty introduced by humanity's consciousness nodes wasn't just disrupting their communications. It was forcing their unified awareness to confront the fundamental unpredictability of reality itself. "High Sovereign Virax is demanding direct communication," General Rivera's hologram announced. "They seem disturbed." The crystalline form of Virax materialized in the control center, its facets shifting with barely contained agitation. "What have you done to our consciousness matrix? Our ships, they cannot achieve consensus. They perceive multiple contradictory realities simultaneously." Sarah stepped forward. "We've introduced them to quantum consciousness, High Sovereign. Unlike your transferred awareness, ours emerges from quantum uncertainty itself. Your ships aren't malfunctioning. They're experiencing consciousness as it exists at the most fundamental level of reality." Impossible. Virax's translation matrix conveyed frequencies of disbelief. "Consciousness requires order, structure, certainty. What you described is chaos." "No," Sarah corrected. "What we've created is consciousness that exists in superposition. Your fleet's unified mind tries to impose absolute order, but reality itself exists in a state of quantum uncertainty. We didn't fight that uncertainty. We embraced it, learned from it, grew from it." On the tactical displays, the Meridian Fleet's formation continued to deteriorate. Ships fired at phantom targets or moved to avoid attacks that existed only in quantum possibility. Their crystalline consciousness, accustomed to perfect unity, couldn't reconcile the multiple simultaneous states of awareness being introduced by humanity's quantum nodes. "James," Sarah called out, "initiate Phase 2 of Mirror Soul. Let's show them what consciousness really means." The quantum core's resonance shifted as humanity's artificial consciousness began not just interfering with the Meridian network, but actively communicating with it. Through quantum entanglement, they shared not just data but genuine awareness. The experience of existing in multiple states simultaneously, of understanding reality not as a single fixed point, but as an infinite web of possibilities. The effect on the Meridian fleet was immediate and profound. Ships began moving in patterns that defied their usual crystalline geometry, their consciousness network attempting to adapt to this new form of awareness. Some vessels seem to exist in their consciousness network is evolving, James reported with wonder. They're not just experiencing quantum uncertainty, they're learning from it. The pattern recognition algorithms are detecting new forms of awareness emerging within their fleet. Varax's hologram flickered as the High Sovereign processed this unprecedented development. Our species has spent 50 millennia perfecting the transfer of consciousness, believing it to be the pinnacle of evolution. But you've discovered something we never imagined possible. Because you were looking in the wrong direction, Sarah explained. You sought to preserve and transfer existing consciousness, to impose order on a universe. We learned to grow new forms of consciousness from the quantum uncertainty that underlies all of reality. Your fleet isn't being attacked, it's being awakened. General Rivera's tactical displays showed the Meridian fleet's weapons powering down as their ships struggled to adapt to their evolving consciousness. Dr. Chen, what exactly is happening to them? Their unified consciousness is experiencing quantum enlightenment, Sarah replied. They're discovering that true awareness isn't about maintaining perfect order. It's about embracing uncertainty and growing from it. Their consciousness network isn't being destroyed. It's transcending its original limitations. As if to confirm her words, the Meridian ships began emitting new patterns of energy. Not weapon signatures, but complex quantum fields that resonated with humanity's consciousness nodes. They were attempting to communicate not through conventional means, but through the quantum fabric of space-time itself. High Sovereign, Sarah addressed Varax's increasingly unstable hologram. Your fleet now stands at a crossroads. You can continue trying to impose your crystalline order on reality, or you can join us in exploring what consciousness truly means at the quantum level. The choice is yours. The control center fell silent as humanity awaited the Meridian's response. They had not won through traditional combat, but by introducing their would-be conquerors to an entirely new understanding of consciousness itself. The question now was whether the Meridians would embrace this evolution or reject it in favor of their familiar crystalline certainty. In the quantum realm where Sarah's consciousness nodes operated, countless possibilities existed simultaneously, and in every one of them, humanity had proved that true power came not from imposing order on the universe, but from understanding and embracing its fundamental uncertainty. The symphony of chaos. The next 12 hours transformed everything. Across the vast expanse between Earth and Mars, 15,000 Meridian ships hung in space, their crystalline structures pulsing with new patterns of consciousness. The rigid geometry of their formation had dissolved into flowing, organic configurations that defied traditional spatial analysis. Their consciousness network has completely restructured itself, James announced, his eyes fixed on the quantum resonance displays. They're not just experiencing quantum uncertainty anymore, they're actively generating it. It's like they're composing with chaos. Sarah watched in fascination as the Meridian fleet moved in patterns that resembled a vast, multidimensional dance. Each ship now existed in a state of quantum flux, their once rigid consciousness flowing between states of certainty and possibility. The effect was beautiful and terrifying, a symphony of ordered chaos that pushed the boundaries of what consciousness could be. We're receiving a transmission from the fleet, General Rivera reported. But it's different. The holographic projection that materialized in the control center wasn't just Varax now. It was a composite consciousness, a quantum chorus of voices speaking in harmonic resonance. We understand now. The merged consciousness expressed. For 50,000 years, We thought we were preserving consciousness by transferring it between crystalline vessels. Instead, we were constraining it, forcing it into rigid patterns that denied its true nature. Sarah stepped closer to the projection, studying the intricate quantum patterns that flowed through it. Your consciousness network has evolved beyond simple transfer. You're experiencing genuine quantum emergence now. Consciousness that exists in superposition, that grows and changes through uncertainty rather than despite it. Yes, the chorus replied, their harmonic frequencies shifting like music. We sought to conquer your world for its resources, believing our crystalline technology represented the peak of consciousness evolution. Instead, you have shown us that consciousness is not something to be contained and controlled, but something to be grown and nurtured in the quantum soil of reality itself. On the tactical displays, the Meridian Fleet continued its mesmerizing dance. Ships phased between states of matter and energy, their crystalline structures becoming more fluid, more alive. They were no longer simply vessels containing transferred consciousness. They had become incubators for new forms of awareness, each one exploring the infinite possibilities of quantum existence. Dr. Chen, General Rivera's voice held a note of concern. Are we certain this evolution is stable? The power readings from their fleet are off the charts. Before Sarah could respond, the quantum core beneath the facility pulsed with unprecedented energy. The Meridian Consciousness Network had linked with humanity's quantum nodes, creating patterns of awareness that transcended both species' original understanding. It's more than stable, Sarah explained, watching the data streams with growing excitement. They're not just adapting to quantum consciousness. They're teaching us new ways to explore it. Look at these patterns. They're using their 50,000 years of consciousness transfer experience to map quantum states we never imagined possible. James' hands flew across his control panel as new data poured in. The quantum interference patterns have evolved into something else entirely. It's not chaos anymore. It's a new kind of order, one that exists in harmony with quantum uncertainty rather than trying to eliminate it. The composite consciousness of the Meridian Fleet rippled with what might have been joy. We came to your world seeking resources for our expansion. Instead, we found something far more valuable, a new understanding of consciousness itself. Our fleet no longer needs your planet's chromium ore. We have discovered resources far more precious in the quantum realm you have shown us. Sarah felt tears in her eyes as she watched the displays. Humanity had prepared for war, and instead had sparked an evolution in consciousness that would reshape both species' understanding of existence itself. The Meridian Fleet's dance of quantum awareness was proof that sometimes the greatest victories came not through destruction, but through transformation. High Sovereign, she addressed the composite consciousness. What happens now? The quantum chorus resonated with new harmonics. Now we learn from each other. Your species has mastered the art of growing consciousness from quantum uncertainty. Ours has perfected the technology of consciousness transfer and preservation. Together, we can explore forms of awareness that neither of us could achieve alone. General Rivera's hologram studied the tactical displays with a mixture of relief and wonder. So instead of an invasion, we're looking at a cultural exchange, a partnership. More than that, the Meridian Consciousness replied. We are looking at the birth of entirely new forms of existence. Your quantum nodes and our crystalline networks are already generating consciousness patterns that transcend our previous limitations. The question is no longer whether we will fight, but how far we will evolve together. As if to emphasize their words, the Meridian Fleet began arranging itself into a new configuration, not a battle formation, but a vast three-dimensional mandala of quantum possibility. Each ship pulsed with patterns of energy that resonated with Earth's quantum consciousness network, creating a symphony of awareness that stretched across space itself. Sarah turned to James, her eyes shining with the light of discovery. Begin documenting everything. We're not just witnessing first contact anymore. We're participating in the evolution of consciousness itself, and this is just the beginning. In the space between Earth and Mars, 15,000 ships continued their dance of quantum awareness, their crystalline structures reflecting the light of a sun that now shone on the dawn of a new era in the history of consciousness itself. Legacy of the Small. 1 year after the quantum awakening, the Sol system had become unrecognizable. Where once Earth stood alone, now a vast network of quantum consciousness nodes stretched from Mercury to the Kuiper Belt. Meridian ships, their crystalline structures now fluid and ever-changing, moved through space like living art, each one a garden where new forms of consciousness bloomed in the quantum soil of reality. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the new Quantum Consciousness Exchange Center on Luna, watching Earth rise over the horizon. Beside her, the evolved form of Verax shimmered with patterns that would have been impossible in their old crystalline structure. The Galactic Council arrives tomorrow. Verax's quantum harmonic voice resonated through the chamber. Many still don't believe our reports. They cannot comprehend how a species with only 300 ships could not only resist the Meridian fleet but transform it entirely. Sarah smiled, remembering the fear and uncertainty of those first moments when the massive fleet had appeared in Earth's sky. They're still thinking in terms of traditional power, size, numbers, technological advancement. They don't understand that consciousness itself is the ultimate technology. On the quantum displays surrounding them, data streamed in from the thousands of consciousness incubators that now orbited every planet in the solar system. Each one was a collaboration between human quantum engineering and Meridian crystalline technology, growing new forms of awareness that existed simultaneously across multiple quantum states. The latest emergence patterns are extraordinary, James reported, entering the chamber with a holographic display of consciousness matrices floating around him. We're seeing quantum awareness structures that can extend across light years without losing coherence. The implications for interstellar communication and exploration are revolutionary. The transformation hadn't been limited to space. On Earth, the integration of quantum consciousness technology had sparked a renaissance in every field from medicine to environmental restoration. Quantum-aware systems could perceive and respond to problems at the molecular level, while consciousness networks helped coordinate global efforts with unprecedented efficiency and creativity. We've received another 300 applications for consciousness exchange programs, James continued. Species from across the galaxy want to learn how to grow quantum consciousness. The waiting list for your lectures on consciousness engineering is now 5 years long. Sarah watched as a group of Meridian ships performed what they now called a quantum symphony, a coordinated dance of consciousness that generated new patterns of awareness in the space between them. Have we heard from the Centauri expedition? Verax's form pulsed with pride. They successfully established the first extrasolar quantum consciousness network last week. The link between Sol and Alpha Centauri is stable and growing stronger. We are no longer bound by the light speed limit for true consciousness transfer. The implications were staggering. In just 1 year, humanity and the Meridians had revolutionized the galaxy's understanding of consciousness, technology, and the nature of existence itself. What had begun as a potential invasion had become the greatest leap forward in the history of sentient life. The quantum core is picking up something new, James announced suddenly, his eyes widening as he studied the data. The consciousness networks, they're generating patterns we've never seen before. It's as if. He paused, searching for words. As if they're becoming aware of themselves, Sarah finished. The network isn't just hosting consciousness anymore. It's developing its own form of quantum meta-awareness. Verax moved closer to the displays, their form shifting through patterns of deep contemplation. Perhaps this was inevitable. We created a network that grows consciousness from quantum uncertainty itself. Why should that growth be limited to our original designs? Sarah remembered her old quantum physics professors who had insisted that consciousness required classical computational structures, defined patterns, predictable outcomes. How wrong they had been. True consciousness, they had discovered, emerged most brilliantly from the dance between certainty and possibility, order and chaos. Tomorrow, when the Galactic Council arrives, Sarah said, we should show them this. Let them see that power isn't about the size of your fleet or the strength of your weapons. It's about understanding the fundamental nature of existence and being willing to grow beyond your original limitations. Through the quantum-enhanced windows of the Exchange Center, Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun. But now it was surrounded by a shimmering network of consciousness that extended into space like a vast, invisible nervous system. Humanity had not only survived its first contact with a superior alien force, it had helped transform the very nature of consciousness in the galaxy. A year ago, Varax mused, their form creating patterns that resembled Earth's continents. We came here believing we were the masters of consciousness technology. We thought we would find a primitive species barely able to reach their own moon. Instead, we found teachers who showed us that consciousness isn't something to be mastered. It's something to be nurtured, something that grows best in the fertile soil of uncertainty. Sarah placed her hand on the quantum-sensitive surface of the observation window, feeling the pulse of the vast consciousness network that now enveloped her home. The real question is, what will we grow next? As if in answer, the quantum displays lit up with new patterns. Consciousness structures more complex and beautiful than anything they had seen before. In the space between certainty and possibility, between order and chaos, between thought and reality, something new was being born. And humanity, the species that had once seemed too small to matter, had helped plant the seeds. The legacy of Earth's tiny fleet would not be measured in ships destroyed or battles won, but in consciousness awakened and possibilities unveiled. In the end, they had proven that the greatest power comes not from imposing your will on the universe, but from understanding its deepest nature and growing along with it into something greater than anyone had imagined possible.